Sunday. This is Asia on America on IntellectualRadio.com. I'm your host, Asia Shakur, aka Hood Oprah. This is my first show of calendar year 2024. I missed y'all. So, what's going on, people out there on Facebook Live, on YouTube, on Intellectual Radio? I got the 1/4 of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen in the building. Antonio King.
I didn't know I got that distinction. Okay.
You know what it is. You know the vibes. You know the vibes. Okay, it is February. Of course, it is Black History Month. And if you aren't friends with Antonio on Facebook, you have been missing some great history lessons. You've been doing it like the past 10 years, correct?
Actually, it's 12 years.
12 years.
Officially, let me add this. Officially retired in 2020.
We're gonna get into that in the later part of the show. But I just wanted to, because it is Black History Month, I just wanted to, start the show off just asking a few type of questions in regard to that. Do you feel as though we don't have the same sort of Black pride that we used to? I know when I was a child, although I did go to a predominantly white school, Black History Month was very much projected in my classroom. I guess because it was a predominantly white school. As I've gotten older, of course, used to be the commercials. It used to be the Black McDonald's Operators of America. Remember those BMOA commercials? It used to be so much, heavy Afro-central marketing. Now that I've gotten older, the push has kind of come away from that. Do you think that we've lost a sense of pride?
I don't think we lost a sense of pride in that sense because we still have those things. I mean, Target is the big proponent right now for Black History Month.
They are.
If you haven't stopped at Target, stop at the section Black History Month. It's prominent at the opening. They do partner, which a lot of people come in. They partner with a lot of Black up-and-coming artists, seamstress, designers. They feature them prominently throughout the year, not just for Black History Month, even though the display is for just the 28 days, but throughout, you got the, what's his name is Wesley Wiston is one of them. They from present really hard in there.
Who is that?
It's a Black designer. It's pretty. I may get his name wrong, so forgive me for that. I think it's Wesley Winston. They just doing a new one in the Black History. It's like the Quilting Club.
Really?
So they partner with this company called Get to Sewing, or it's from based in Alabama. So this is just off the top of my head, and it's just kind of reviewing the things this year in 2024.
That's why you wanted 1/4 of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Look how you just spewing out facts off the top of your head. I don't even know these people. The only thing that I seen Target doing was a Tabitha Brown and her seasonings and her clothing line, and that was before February. So I wonder if does Target have a lot of push, because I see they do a lot of things throughout the year because they're owned by a progressively kind of radical type of person.
Yeah, I think that they really invest in the social economic environment of inequity, and so I guess this promotion for Target. I do like Target as one of those brands, and when you talk about someone that's going to task for Black people and really looking out for Black people, they give a lot of Black people chance. You talking about from Bevel, that's no longer Black owned anyway. They was founded. I think they was sold to Gillette, maybe another shaving company, but it's okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Wasn't Bevel by Nas?
No. Bevel was that? Nah, I can't think of the guy name that founded Bevel. But I could have been one of the people that invested in it. But it was founded by a black guy, and he ended up selling the idea, his company, to a bigger corporation. So you got the Bevels, you got the the Shea Moistures, and I don't know if a lot of people spend a lot of time in Target, and I don't want this whole segment to be about Target,
because you are very passionate about Target. We spoke in the green room about your love of Target.
Yeah, I said I was going to go to Target right after this. But if you go in there, you'll see a lot of Black inventors getting a chance with Target. You'll see like Shark Tank, Black people Black owners in Shark Tank getting their stuff put on Target shelves. So there's one of the companies that really focus on the equity in Black owned businesses, and so.
People, if y'all listening out there, if you have an idea you need to pitch, you got a strong marketing plan, I'm guessing Target is the way to go. Black Restaurant Week segue, because we are talking about just briefly some hot topics, and of course Black history is going. Black history is American history 365 24/7. However, this is the month that is set aside to, specify and celebrate. Black Restaurant Week will be February 11th through the 25th this year in Chicago. Do you have any restaurants that you want to visit?
Oh man, I have never invested in a black, not even necessary black restaurant week, but the restaurant week I never invested in,
Never?
never. So I never got a chance to take advantage of.
As much as you travel, as much as you do, you've never gotten involved in Restaurant Week? That's so surprising.
I have never, and that's crazy. I like to I always go to try to buy black, going to eat, going to try different things, different spins on any type of cuisine. I'm not the big proponent of going for discounts. That's what I think restaurant week usually is to drive customers
It
in
it,
to get
it
them to
does
say
it does
discount.
have discounts, but
Right.
it's also to, promote and display your restaurant,
Yeah,
especially
awareness.
the black restaurant week was in January. Black Restaurant Week is separated so that they can have their own niche, if you will, so they can spotlight, because Chicago is a big food city. And
Hmm.
sometimes we have a lot of hidden jewels, that people really don't know. So I think that this was just created as a subset so that they can have their own thing and not get just mixed up in the mash.
Yeah, I totally understand that, but I was watching Erica Alexander interview on the Breakfast Club over the
Cousin
last couple
Pam?
of yeah, cousin Pam,
Okay.
and she made a really good point that sometimes that we kind of force segregate ourselves by saying something Black Restaurant Week. Black restaurants should be in Restaurant Week. They shouldn't be segregated from that. I know it's a little bit of odds, but they should be on
I,
that
but
list.
I think they are included. Remember, I don't know if you saw, but I had a post a couple weeks ago asking on Martin Luther King birthday,
Mhm.
was segregation good or bad for us? So sometimes, even though we want to be included, sometimes being separate is good as well, because you can get lost in the shuffle, and that doesn't just have to be necessarily negated to race. That could be towards your gender, towards your intellect. Like Facebook, going back to your posts, you have these great history posts, and sometimes it gets pushed down in the feed because it's grouped up into the masses of a bunch of booty shakers and
The
a
booties.
bunch of trash. That's what social media has become. So sometimes you do need separate lanes for separate things. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, when you talk about segregation, though, it was needed back then. And I think we will benefit from it, but it is kind of putting a ceiling or a cap on dollars, right? So that's what white corporations looked at, secretly like, hey, we understand black buying power, even though we don't want to sell to them. And I was just talking to somebody about this. It's like, hey, I know we can get by 75%, margin line, but I'm greedy. I want the other 25%. I want 100% coming to my bottom line. So
Kind of like voting.
exactly. So, when you look at it from that sense, segregation, if we have the sense of, community, if we have the sense to, make sure our own is really good in that space, and we don't have no outside interference, I'm all for segregation. But during that time, it was just out of necessity because they didn't have access to anything, no grocery stores, no education. That they had to build their own and stuff like that. But I think we in the age of now that we can break down those walls of inequity and kind of be assimilated into and I know a lot of people don't want to be, and I'm always been a stark against it, like, hey, how these people subjugate us and being part of this. But I just think that if the way the world is kind of projecting to that, it don't need to be a black restaurant week right after January into Black History Month. It should be just like, hey, this is restaurant week, and I want to try this taco spot that's owned by a black person.
But a lot of things, a lot of small businesses don't have the proper money or marketing team to even get themselves in those type of ways.
Mhm.
So I think that sometimes these are just opinions. Those subset lanes are good in that aspect because they don't have the marketing, they don't have the funding to do that. Segue to my small business shout out of the month.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you guys are following me on social media. I am Asia on America on Facebook, Asia on America at Instagram, and Hood Oprah on TikTok. And every now and then I spotlight or share videos, reels, memes of restaurants, businesses around Chicago area. and I shared a reel of What a Potato. They are located at, I wrote it down, 5202 West Washington. And I got 30K views on it. And that's the highest of views that I've had on of anything that I've shared on my show, of anything I share. And I just was like, wow, speaking back to the marketing, the power of what I put out. And a lot of my friends went. I went. It's a good restaurant. It's called What a Potato. It's at 5202 West Washington. Even though Antonio said don't go to Restaurant Week, Black
I
Restaurant Week,
didn't
go to
say.
Black
I
Restaurant
didn't
Week.
say. I didn't say don't go.
I'm just joking.
Support.
No, no, but make sure you guys go this week and weeks beyond to 5202 West Washington at What a Potato. So back to the question I hinted to at the top of the show about your Black History post. What made you even start those? Because I go through my memories every year and they are so well written, very thought out. It's about people that I've never heard of, doing extraordinary things. A lot of people that you focus from Chicago the last couple years that I didn't know about. And I look forward to them every year. And I cannot stress to you how disheartening it is that you aren't doing it this year. And I just want to know what made you start and ultimately what has made you come to the end.
Well, sorry guys. I apologize at the end why I've ended it, and I let you guys know. But what initially made me start it, again, I am pro black, so I really love our history, our culture, and I've been told like since I was young I should be a historian.
You should.
Yeah, so when you think about, and you brought it up earlier, when you went to all white school and you do Black History Month, for those 28 days, you only focus about 8 to 10 people,
Yeah.
and it's every year. It doesn't change up. You don't go get into depth, and it's just one year. I want to say it was around 2010. I got fed up. Like every year, it's Martin Luther King Eye on the Prize special. I love it, but it's like, man, how much more information we need to know about Martin Luther King, even though we don't have all the information, but it's the same thing. We going, how many times you going to rehash it? Even this year, they releasing a Malcolm and Martin TV show, 2-part miniseries.
Yeah.
And you like how it's other great people in the history that did so much for Black people and that you don't talk about. But yeah, so
No, no,
no,
no. I
no.
want you to
So
go.
so yeah, so that's initially what I started. It started just to spotlight one person a day that we don't know about and just get a detailed write up. Then the next year it was just like, all right, let me find 3 people. Let me challenge myself to find 3 people, and then also kind of inspire people with quotes. So that became the format. And then it's like the third year, I'm gonna challenge myself. I'm not gonna rehash any of this information. So I'm proud to say, and I challenge anybody to go through my history for the last 12 years to see if I rehashed anybody I ever talked about in that
I only
12
been
years.
watching it like the last 5 and I can't recall.
Yeah,
I
so
can't recall. So what has made you stop though? Because is a society that forgets their past doomed to repeat itself? You know, of course, we have a lot of hip hop culture. We have a lot of, like you say, Target doing their thing. We have this, we have that. But unfortunately, we don't know the depths, as you say, to who we are, where we come from, what we can be. As it stands, a lot of us wants to be influencers. I mean, even though I sit here on media, people want to be podcasters. People want to be prominent and in the eye. They don't want to be doctors and scientists
mhm,
and professionals. If we don't have those type of quotes and history lessons, because obviously school is not teaching them,
mhm.
where are we going to get this from?
Well, I think why I stopped is because I was doing it in a way that wasn't digestible media. Like usually when I do these write-ups for one person, it's literally like probably a 5 to 7 minute read on that person to get an understanding of it. And if you ever go on to the social media window, which I started in it actually, it's just the attention span get lower and lower. They want something that's more quick hit, you know, just the bullet pointed. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be able to, you see this person, you know this name, you know their story, from top to bottom, and you can call back to it. And I'm grateful that a few people, children would use them for projects in school. Didn't know about it as adults as well, but I just think that it was a lot of research that I was putting in. I usually start this research probably around November, December, just to really backtrack what I did, and it was becoming a task because I'm going against 12 years of content and making sure I'm not repeating myself. And just finding these things, and it was becoming daunting. And then when I looked at it, and it's probably just the idea of like, hey, I'm doing some great work and I'm not getting recognition for it. I see other guys, influencers doing a podcast about history of Chicago, history about, and they blowing up. And it's not necessarily I wanted the fame or anything like that. I just wanted like more eyes to grow on it, and it didn't. And as the years going on, it just started declining. Facebook started suppressing the posts, and nobody's seen it. And was just the same 7 to 8 people. Like, hey, I look forward to it, And then there's this other, just the part. I want to say they don't appreciate it. It's just like, man, I'm not reading that. It's just look long. All right, I see you doing your thing. Thanks, King. Thanks, King. You're doing your thing. So it's just like, man, it was just a task for that was all for night at the end.
I feel like that sometimes about my show. I feel like, I don't, hey, what did I miss? It's hard to hear, but I'm here. I feel like sometimes doing my show is for naught. I feel like some of the content that I push out is for naught. But when I, switch it up, because I'm a personality outside of social media. I'm a personality on my own. And I notice that some things garner more attention than others, especially when I talk about relationships. And I don't always want to talk about relationships, but I do notice that brings the draw. And like what Hove said, first I snatched their ears, now I got their heart. So sometimes I feel like I have to do those things to get people engaged. So then I could drop a bombshell show like this, like talk about something that is of importance or relevant to me, or I feel like it's important to the culture. But just from one, person to another, and I know it's daunting, like for me, I looked forward to that. Like I said, going to a predominantly white school, I did not know a lot of this, a lot of these people, a lot of these things. And I always looked forward to it, and going through my memories today, I reshare these things, and it was very refreshing. So even though you didn't get your props, Hood Oprah loved it. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
So, moving, like I said, this is hot topics, and you are just, you like me, you could talk about anything. One thing I wanted to talk about that's been pressing as of late is the influx of migrants to the city of Chicago. Now, me and you had a conversation on Facebook a couple months ago.
I made you mad.
Yeah, you always make me mad.
You're going to make you mad.
What do you feel about this whole migrant situation? And speak freely. Anything that we discuss are strictly the thoughts of Asia on America, not intellectual radio. With that being said, I want you to speak as full as you want to, and then I'll say what I have to say.
Oh yeah, I got to get a disclaimer too. I work for a corporate job, so my opinions may bite me in the, I think everybody should have a fair shake. Just echo sentiments that everyone was a migrant before, right? We had just back.
We weren't migrants.
Yeah, I mean, listen, just your grandparents, great grandparents, with the Great Fight from.
We migrated from the south,
yeah,
up here.
That's so you thinking it from international. Just think about Chicago. It has open borders, and they sound silly too. So, I think we wasn't prepared for what was put onto us. I don't think the migrant situation is a detriment to the economy like everybody states it is. And I think a lot of misinformation is going on around out there. I think I seen one congressman talk about that migrants are getting $9,000 a month. And I'm like, well, man, if you just think about Chicago in the sense we got like 150 to 200,000, that's like almost $1.1 billion of funding a year from migrants. I don't think that's, and we on the brink of bankrupt right now. So even though that's really funded and everything like that. So I just think it just right now we looking at it as no plan was in place. It's not something that's going to impact just the everyday, besides the safety, sometimes when people have their back against the wall, it can create unsafe environments, and that's for anything. That's for your residents here.
Correct.
We deal with that now. If we just talking about the red line.
The red line is ruthless.
Right. Yeah, going the red line, you got a lot of kids that don't have jobs and selling drugs and
a lot of mentally ill people.
A lot of mentally ill people. That's now the people didn't talk about the displacement of the mentally ill the last few years.
I was going to get on that next.
Yeah, out into the system that caused more of a situation than the migrants. But I understand that it's more so I'm trying to be politically correct with it
I
because
understand.
but I know it's more so uh, it doesn't take over the world like people like somebody you sent me the video about them breaking into abandoned buildings and living there. So now think about it, like how do that impact you in a sense if they
Well,
abandoned building that shouldn't even be there? You know,
so now I have found the subset to that. So the building manager or the building owner is a white man who owns a bunch of property over there in this black neighborhood.
of,
He is a slumlord. He
of
does
course.
not take care of the buildings that he has these black residents in.
Hmm.
He has allowed them, so they didn't necessarily break in. He didn't, I mean, he doesn't have to inform the neighborhood, but he should. That's how we build communities, when we have trust, when we have transparency, when we have communication. So no, he didn't have to inform the residents, but it would have been nice considering that he owns buildings on the block. So he, out of the kindness of his heart, opened up the building because his kids freezing, yada yada yada, which on a human standpoint I completely understand. However, we have a lot of people that need housing.
Mm.
Where was your good humanitarianism when we needed, when a person's pipe is busting and you take it too long to get there to fix it? Or, I lost my job and I'm back on rent and you taking me to eviction court. There's a lot of circumstances where I feel that our people have been looked over, and you're right, everybody needs a fair share, but you can't skip the line. This is why we have rules and regulations. Just a couple years ago, people were losing their jobs because they didn't, comply to certain government standing. Now that's out the window, and everybody's just coming here with no health screen, no background checks, no nothing. They're just coming in. We don't know who these people are. I live down the street from the 15th district. There was a smallpox outbreak. There was no mention of that on the news. That's a health risk, in our government's police station where we are law abiding citizens paying tax dollars. Of course, what is it? Land of the free, home of the brave.
Yeah.
We're city of big shoulders, all of that. However, I just feel like, for one, with being having a child with autism, and there's not enough resources for him. My
Oh,
cousin
you
has an
talking about that?
adult child who's 21. She has to work remotely because after high school there was nothing. There is money that we could allocate to other things for people that have paid into the system. And that's how I feel. On a human side, I feel sorry for these people, but everybody in Venezuela ain't po. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They could have did better, and I know that government collapsed and the economic system collapsed, and that happened 8 years ago. And I posted about it. Nobody talked about it, so I feel your pain.
Yeah.
But however, that's not the burden for America to take over.
Well, I mean, it's really hard to kind of like challenge that because I agree with a lot of this, with what you said, especially with the small parts. It should be somebody overseeing and controlling that. But also with the migrant situation, it's just that was sprung upon Chicago. Chicago didn't say, "Hey, we welcome them in." I remember the government of Texas was like, "Hey, New York and Chicago, I got a surprise for you. Here they come in on planes
But
and buses.
what they call it,
We are asylum city, so
asylum
we
cities.
open border city.
Yeah,
So
so
so it's just like, man, now you asking, political ramifications of like, hey, we don't have enough resources here to take these people on. And the man, like, man, I can't control what's being sent, and I'm trying to really handle this and work with other partners, and they telling me no, but this is what it's already in our bylaws. So you telling me now to close these borders and tell these people no. Now we on a level of humanitarian because these people are already here. So we got to work on the homelessness that's already prevalent here in Chicago, and work on the new shelters for the existing homeless in Chicago. But again, we can challenge these big businesses that are here to kind of chip in for this to particular things versus federal government. because remember, anything with federal government is coming out the civilians' pocket.
Out of our pocket.
They asking us for all this. So it's like, hey, what are you bringing a tax? You bringing these corporations here for tax breaks. What else they gonna do for you? They got to have some type of community reinvestment projects, or anything to kind of reinvest into the community, not only in the city that they preside in. So it's a really tough conversation because a lot of people have misinformation about the migrants because they have this hysteria that these people come here and they rob. Of course, at a small point, if they get too desperate, they're gonna rob people if they don't get the natural resources. But again, these people is finding asylum from their homes that's going through political warfare and different types of cartels and different types of regimens that's trying to create a genocide in a particular states, and we got to look at that too.
But we don't even know if those people done ran off with the cartel stuff, and they done came up here. We don't know if they came.
They probably did.
We don't know none of that.
They probably did.
We don't know. Speaking of, with you talking about theft, there was just a major story. I don't know if it was major or not, about fake ID ring that they busted up because they were on Michigan Avenue, which is a cause of concern because now you're on the Gold Coast. Anything that happens was money and prestige, of course they're gonna get to the bottom of it. So they have this big thing where the migrants are on Michigan Avenue stealing these half price items, and she's 708-223-8953 and said, I got something to say. What's the number? 708-223-8953. So
somebody finna call in and say, oh, migrants stole my purse. Oh,
but they got this whole fake ID ring where they stealing this stuff and they trade it in so they can get working papers and visas and stuff, which has opened up another whole can of worms. And like, what do we do with this now? Now we got this whole fake ID ring going on. This is another subset of crime that now Tom Dart is involved in, and now that's taking him. Oh, they did call in.
Oh, they ready.
They ready.
Do I hit the call button?
Yeah. Thank you for calling in to Age on America. Who is this?
Hi, I made it. It's Antoinette Walker from the West Side.
These West
This is.
How
wait,
are you?
Ann, quit acting crazy. Hey, how you doing? What you got to say, Miss Ann?
I was just calling to chime in about the migrants. I know we have to have this certain level of humanity and all this, but I'm gonna make this real quick. But like I heard you mention, like we don't know who these people are we letting over here. These could be the Venezuelan gangbangers. These could be like Venezuelan, whatever. These could be Venezuelan rapists. Like we have no idea. We don't even know. They have no type of what is it called? My chart. They don't have nothing. We don't know where they came from. We don't know what they got going on. And I'm not a racist. I love, I have white friends. Right. I have white friends. I have Mexican friends. I'm not racist.
You sound like a white person saying that about black people.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
You're like, I eat mashed potatoes without gravy. I'm okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But I'm just saying, in all seriousness, for real, like, when you're in a certain environment, that's what you're used to, right? And like the host right here, we talk all the time, and I don't want nobody over my house that been drinking mosquito water before, because I don't drink mosquito water, so I don't know how that might affect me. And I know I'm being facetious and rude and stuff, but I'm just saying this is what it is.
I mean, speak your piece.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. She is crazy.
The still water, and she said Dasani, I would have laughed, but the distilled water was
mosquito water is
mosquito water.
That's what she said. Mosquito water.
No,
Do you have something to say to that, Antonio?
No, to give a specific answer to that, that's why we got Homeland Security in place. They should be able to vet these people. It's harder to get the criminal records or anything like that, but be able to process them in to make sure they not sick, not passing anything on, but still, it's
always cracks in the ceiling.
It's always cracks in the ceiling, whatever you want to say, and it's harder. And we're gonna all have our jokes in regards to this, but it's what can you do, at this particular point. It's just a lot of these people is trying to get to a better life, and what everyone wants, right?
I can foresee a big Juneteenth this summer. I really can. People gonna be Black Prided up.
They better Black Prided up.
So moving on, we have a lot of Fortune 500 companies that are downsizing. UPS, Microsoft, American Airlines, Google. I know that there was a lot of overhiring during the pandemic, but now that the economy is booming, and you said that they're getting tax breaks, especially to come to Chicago, we have lots of big business moving downtown. They bought the Thompson Center for Google to take over, and Google is like a multi-billion-dollar corporation with places all over the world. What do you feel as though why these companies, aside from them having to boost up, employee for, COVID, and COVID is over, quote unquote, what do you think about these companies that are downsizing?
I want to say, Asha, you're right. It is selective outrage is huge in Chicago. You is correct on that.
She is.
But when I think about these companies right now with the downsizing, I don't think with during the COVID it was a lot of overhiring or anything like that. What happened was they was increasing pay for people who was willing to stay, because it was a mass exodus of like, hey, I don't want to work in this environment because it was this outrage, right? So they was over that time from COVID to probably like 2022, you may still filter and see it in. These companies just need people to come and work for them. So they was giving out large bonuses, anywhere from like 5,000 signing bonus to 50,000, how savvy you are, and plus increase in price. And you think about the cost going increasing over this time to make sure these companies are really be able to operate and recoup whatever they lost during the 2020 2021 time frame. But right now we moving into the point where you're going to talk about AI, which is kind of factoring in a lot of this stuff, and the elimination of redundancies of roles. So that's why there's a lot of downsizing and everything like that. And it's happening in my company too.
Really?
Yeah. So you look at, they came out, oh, we had a bad fourth quarter. Oh, we got to cut 20,000 jobs. No,
that's what they saying in my job too.
Yeah. Remember, they was just trying to force people back, in the middle of 2023 to come back to work because they felt like, productivity was good, but they paying these high salaries for offsite jobs, which they can find for really cheaper. So think about it, when they reduce they workforce, they're not really reducing it, they're rehiring at a lower rate. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting at how these companies, especially these Fortune 500 companies, kind of operate in a sense. So you gotta pay attention to that.
They operate like drug lords.
Yeah. So think about it. They want the stock market to get back up. The Fortune 500 or a segment of them pretty much controls or paces the stock
Dow.
market.
Yeah,
paces the Dow. So you if you look at that, like, hey, if they cut these 20,000 jobs over this time period, and it's going to bring back $1 billion, that's profit to the bottom line to any shareholders. So if you got to be financially savvy and look into that, you be like, oh, see why they laying these people off.
It's all about the bottom line and the bonuses.
That's all it is. All about people not getting bonuses in this.
That's exactly what it is. The people are not getting bonuses. You touched on AI and robots. They are slowly becoming the new norm, and we as people, we see things like Apple just rolled out this new, what is it called? What is it? I know because I don't know.
Is she talking about the AI, the Oculus?
Yeah. What is? So what is this Apple? What does it do? Do you know?
Well, it's going to do a more comprehensive job than what the Oculus do. The Oculus was from Samsung, and it was just pretty much virtual reality gaming. So it's about the virtual distortion. So it's just pretty much, if you ever watch movies like a Minority Report
or Ready Goes, what is it called?
Ready, Set, Go, things like that. If you think of that, it's just a reality distortion and putting you in a different type of mindset where you can. Even this new show called Death and Other Details, it was just a small clip in there where a guy was designing his boats, and he was creating a simulation of how the boat would look like to market it to rich people. So with AI, it's just going to be streamlining a lot of things to the point to even, I say it's like gaslighting people at this particular point. You
Are
know,
you? I'm kind of scared of the new future that's coming through because the line between reality and fake world is gonna be so distorted. You're not gonna know, and people are already, like you said, have short attention span.
mhm.
Everybody needs something real fast. Go. I just feel that people it's going to be more easier for people to live in an Oculus or a virtual reality world than the real world, and we are going to lose the small grip that we have on humankind. That's how I feel, and more quickly than people think. It won't be the not so distant future like 2050. We in 2024 now. We already got flying cars pushing out next year.
Yeah.
So I think that it's gonna be here quicker than we are, and what's my favorite movie? Demolition Man.
Mhm.
We're gonna be living like that, and I say this all the time, but I'm definitely gonna be living underground eating rat burgers because I
Rat
can't
burgers.
live up here with this be well. You know what I'm saying? And this virtual sex, I can't do it. I'm not going to. I'm not going to.
Well, it's kind of just think about all the movies we watched in the 90s and stuff like that, and a subset of what they talked about in the near future, this dystopian near future, and what it looked like in 95, 96, 98. You have so many movies you can point back to. Uh, Even I was talking about, a Minority Report and what they was doing, and that movie came out in 2000, and it's 24 years later, and you thinking like, hey, where's this technology that's in this movie? They was prepping us for those stuff because they slowly running out. They've been working on these things, and it's going to be positioned as convenience, and it's going to create individual contributors, or you're going to make you solitude where you're only going to be doing talking to people already through FaceTime, or computing with just typing messages and not really talking to people. And I think COVID, to be a radical left field test, that was already a way to kind of test this, right? Because you was isolated from some people, and what were you doing? You was using FaceTime to communicate with people the most majority of the time because they didn't want to come
Say
over.
y'all hate me, I was outside the whole time.
I was too.
I was an essential worker,
Me
and
too.
my thing was if I can go to work and go around people, I can go around people. So one more hot topic before we get off of the sucker's heads. You had sent me a photo. Now this is the meat and potatoes. This is what I've been gearing up for. Are you ready to rumble? You sent me this photo where it was a non-black woman saying that black women would be winning if we learn to be more softer in the discussion about black men dating out. I'll let you go first. Are black women losing in the dating game?
No, no, black women is not losing in the dating game. And one of the big things with that, what I sent you, it was just an interesting take because it was a non-black woman,
It was.
and she was just praising that she loved black women, but she kind of gave it this backhand type insult, and I was insulted by that. And I'm like, majority of this dating world is paced by men, right? And our actions, and what we willing to do, and us being really honest and true to what our intentions are moving forward with a woman. And then when you go back to the woman, is just them standing on whatever they need in their life, and they don't do that. They don't communicate that really well, and people don't want to admit that. And you look at black women being the most educated right now, pacing up to be one of the highest earners and stuff. Even though it's still a gap between Asian and white. They still almost down by like 75 cents between Asians and white in the earning power.
And that's why they really got rid of affirmative action to ensure that the gap didn't get any smaller, because white women and Asian women benefited more from affirmative action than blacks ever did. That's one of those other things where people don't pay attention to what's going on.
Don't let me get started. But yeah, so yeah, black women is really becoming these high earners and everything like that. And I think just with them saying that is just y'all are highly valuable commodities right now. No matter, I know it's really hard that y'all not getting married at the clip that y'all should be getting married because y'all not taking the stuff from men right now. It's just like.
But is marriage really the epitome of love? Are you able, because I just had this conversation with a guy the other day, and yes, marriage is a great institution. I've been married before, and this is what has been set before us. But in actuality, this is another business arrangement set through the government, to get tax breaks, et cetera, to licensing and this and that. It's another form of, it's another contract, it's another partnership. Is marriage really necessary to sustain a healthy, happy union between a black man and a black woman, bringing prosperity to their lineage, setting up homes, making business arrangements? Is there really a necessity? Because as you say, we're not getting married at the rate that we should. Is there something that we should be setting our sights on? Because a lot of women will feel empty if they don't, and let the prize of being loved and being happy escape from them because they have not gotten it.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I know it's a lot of distracted about being married. You already presented it. It's like another contract, and it's not. It's a cog to generational wealth, and that's what people need to understand. And how you get to being married and love is always going to be based on foundation, unless you explicitly have this conversation like, hey, this is where I want to get to, and this is how I'm gonna get there. You kind of hit on those certain points about the tax breaks and everything. Like you do something as a unit versus it by yourself, you get a lot more. Your buying power increases, your net worth increases because they all become one. So think about it. If you make 150, I make 100. We together, our net worth is 250.
Are you proposing?
Yes, yes. I need a black woman in my life. But, yeah, no connection. But yeah, so you got to think of it like that. We can't think of it as just a business contract. It's just literally this is if we want to stop for black people, if they want to stop the perpetuation of poverty, you know, we got to have strong foundation with family, right? These children got to have two-parent household or somebody that's representing in that household to be able to oversee in duality versus just one. So I think I'm not saying marriage is the be off or to solve for multiple problems, but it is a cog. But it's not one of those things that you say, hey, this is just a business contract and I'm going to do this. It's just what you sit down and you talk to your partner about. And if that person want to achieve that point and understand like all the things we can gain together versus individual.
Good answer. Good answer. So I got some hot seat questions. Anytime somebody come on my show and we don't have a designated topic, I say that's a hot topic. So when you in hot topics, you're gonna be put in the hot seat. So I got a few little questions for you. Yeah, put your hat down, get ready. If you could hang out with any cartoon character, who would it be?
Ooh, any cartoon character?
That was a good one.
That was a good one. I watch cartoons a lot. So I watch the adult cartoons. So I don't want to, because those adult cartoons are terrible.
For Adult Swim?
Yeah, all of them. Rick and Morty and all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to hang with them though, because
they kind of creepy.
Yeah, so if I can hang in, I honestly say I will transfer back to being 8 to 9 years old and hang with the cast of Arthur.
Really?
Yes. People don't realize how forward thinking and progressive that show is about race relations.
It is.
Consumerism and everything like that.
It is.
It is surprisingly one of probably the best shows y'all should watch. If you have the younger children.
Arthur's always on in my house.
Man, I'm telling you that I would like to be a part of that little team that they have there.
Oh, okay. So it's a show in front of man. What's the name of the show, Wanda? That's in front of me at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Let's Get Chatty. And they were talking about relationships. And I just, we was in the green room listening, and she said that she's been married. And I had this question, so I jotted it down. If you were married, could your wife have male friends? She said her husband can't have any female friends outside of her. So if you were married, could your wife have male friends outside of you?
Yes. And I think we should all have a level of trust that the person that's committed to you will have that level of integrity to don't do anything beyond friendship. So yeah. I don't want to subjugate to a person to no, you can't have, because
me neither.
It seemed like that they're going to be in prison to just you and no one else, or you and your friends.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And I wouldn't want to see my husband all the time, because
let me stop you there. We got to be friends too.
Of course, of course.
The male's friends have to be friends with me, and
Of course, yeah. But let me tell you this: nobody talks about the other side of your husband being your friend and that relationship dissolving and you losing two people at once.
Exactly.
So it's very, I went through that with my husband being the main male friend in my life and losing him. I told him one time, it's so messed up. You the person that hurt me, and you the person that I want to talk to. Nobody talks about that other side of that. And I told myself, whenever I got into a serious relationship, I would not cut myself off from having my male friends, because having a strong male in your life that you don't necessarily have a relationship, sexual or type of relationship, is a plus. Just like for a man, they need those type of other opinions, other thought processes, other input, that your wife may miss, that your husband may miss, because they're looking at it from a I love you standpoint, or what's good for the union standpoint. You sometimes need objective people outside. It ain't you always gotta go to therapy.
Yeah. I'm a proponent of therapy,
I
but
know
I'm
you are.
also a proponent of having objective friends, but in the situation that you're in. So I'm not gonna have a friend that's not married to kind of counsel me through a marriage. How can 100% understand, like they're understanding where I'm at mentally in this
True,
space?
true.
So I'm not saying that they won't have valid points, but it's just like I may take that with a little bit more grain of salt than what it should be.
True.
So I think just, man, when you marry, it's okay to have opposite sex friends. Take your advice from, either a therapist or people that's kind of in a situation you know.
What's the best meal that you can prepare?
I can prepare. I cook on survival, so I don't know.
Oh my God! So you a pork and bean?
Man, if it's pork and beans, it's pork and beans.
Oh no! I don't want to. You didn't let your phone die.
Yeah, my phone dead.
Yeah,
So
you need
okay.
you need a strong black woman in your life. She told you to charge your phone up.
But yeah, man, like a good meal I can prepare. I can cook actually. So, I like rice a lot, so I try to make certain variations of rice. Even
That's the best you got for me is rice.
Yeah, variation. I can make stir fry rice. I can put rice with meat in it. Just
So you're a are you a minimalist?
a minimalist. Yeah, I am a minimalist.
Most people who have those type of basic type of meals are very much so minimalist, because you can survive off the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Last hot question: showers or bath?
It's showers, because that's what we train. We train to have that 10-minute.
Who are you? Were you in the military?
No, I just said, well, yeah, because how our day is structured. We train to that 10 minutes. But I take a bath. But I think
I like to soak in the bath.
Yeah, I take a bath. I'm not ashamed. My phone dead. I would take a bath as a man. But yeah,
So silly.
I take showers though.
So this is a part of the show that I call succotash. Succotash is a native dish is made with rice, corn and all type of things mixed up into one. It's the part of the show. Historical black dish. It's the part of the show where I let my guests talk about anything they want to talk about. You could talk about funny, reflective. You could talk about something that's on topic. You can ask me a question. It's a part of the show where I let my guests take over. So what you want to talk about on Succotash, Antonio, aka your mama favorite Facebook friend? If y'all guys not following him, y'all need to get into him. He's a hoot.
I used to be funny. I'm no more. I'm more so of an intellectual now. So
you are. Kudos on that.
I'm not funny no more.
Was that a New Year's resolution to be more intellectual?
No, it wasn't New Year. That's all. People don't like it because I try to. Yeah, I challenge the status quo a lot, and I want people to think broader than what they see. So we can talk about that. It's like how people react to me, because I always ask a question, or I say, hey, this don't make sense to me. Help me understand what you trying to convey here. And it brought me a lot of enemies over the years.
How did we meet? In Black Love Reloaded?
I don't even know if I was ever in that group.
How did we meet? I don't even. I've been knowing you at least 7 years, and I don't know how I met you.
I did not know. I just. Now you're gonna give me the thing, and I got out there the thing. Like,
I think we was in Black Love, that Facebook group, right?
Yeah, I probably said something you didn't like.
I'm 100% sure that you said something I didn't like. But you know what? I can honestly say what I like about you is because you do make me think the other, go the extra mile. Because I talk to a lot of men, and usually with and this ain't no BB22 to me, but usually I'm like, they be like, oh, she's so smart. You know what I'm saying? And you make me always think, and I be like, that damn Antonio. I I jump in your inbox so quick, like stop playing with me, because you make me think, and I that's appreciative. But in this world where everybody's dumbed down, I appreciate people that I can have an intellectual conversation with that make you think outside of the box.
Yeah, I think people shouldn't take things for face value and run with it, especially these opinions that's given out here. Just sit back and just think about it, and just if it doesn't vibe right with you, just like, hey, just help me understand where you're coming from. And that's what I usually do for everybody. And again, I done gained so many enemies over there because they think I'm looking down on them, or I'm talking. I'm like, it's not that. It's just like I really want to understand your thought process. How did you get here? How did you get to this thought process right here? Especially people that kind of perpetuate ideas that they never part of. Like, when you talk about a lot about a relationship, you have that one person that all say, hey, this never happened to me, but I'm going to perpetuate this idea that black men are pieces of S's, right?
Right.
So it's like, how did you get here? Like, you treated so well about black men, but you still perpetuating this idea. Let's sit here and get the person that has been treated and help them understand, like, hey, this is not reality for you. It's somebody else out there that's going to make you feel good.
One question I have for you is, you was just so against when I said nobody asked for this Color Purple remake, and you was so against me.
Oh my God.
You was like, what? I've seen it on Broadway in Berlin and New York. I've seen the movie, the screenplay, the actor. I've seen it all. It's gonna be fantastic. And you went and saw it, and it was trash, as I projected. Nobody asked for that.
Hey, listen. I took my L. Nobody wanted to challenge me on it, but I
challenged you on this.
Yeah, you did, and I was just saying, like, hey, it was just one of them bad movies, but it's not what people expect. And I explained this to somebody who asked me, like, why did I think that movie was bad? And I said, hey, I believe nostalgia movies should always be updated for the younger audience or today's socioeconomic conversations. But this kind of missed the mark because it took a lot of the impactful messages from the story. It just kind of sanitized it to be more digestible for just
happy-go-lucky people.
Everybody consumption, because we're in a woke and council culture. And then if you think about them going back, because everybody's saying, hey, that's a trauma porn. That movie was made 37, 38 years ago. And how they gonna accept? They didn't even talk about Celie's father raping her and creating those kids. It's just him coming here and taking those kids. Those kids are mine now, and they going to God. So it's like, if you taking away this context, you don't understand the trials and tribulations that Celie's going to becoming this person that glues the whole series together, and how she make these connections with these people. And it's like, now it's just like, man, y'all took this away. I know it's heinous, and I know you don't want to see it, or you don't want to hear about it again. But this is how not Toni Morrison, I'm sorry.
Alice
Walker wrote this book. And, and it was a context for that time. And there need to be heard of how women were subjugated then. Like, it's not all peaches and cream right now. Women have the voices now to not be in those positions, to not accept being sold a cow and a couple of eggs. But you want to see how you get to that path in that movie, and how she became out like a phoenix from burning ash, right? So I think the movie lost this impactfulness from when it was released from the book. The stage play was actually phenomenal because it focused on the friendship between Suge Airy and Celie, even though it was going into the same sex type of thing. And most people might disagree with that. Over that, it's like, man, you can't take that away at all.
No, you can't take that away. What she say, MISTER. That's one of my when they was learning how to read.
Yeah. And what's crazy about that, dude introduced, he said, hey, my name Mr. No, she didn't know that man's name. She just called him
the Mister because she did not know his name.
But he named himself, my name Mr. No, get out of here, Albert.
Ain't that his name? Yeah. Well, once again, it's been our hours almost up. I love when you come through. You are, like I say, you 1/4 of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Always a pleasure. If you ever want to come back, just let me know.
It's been 2 years, right?
It's been 2 years.
Next time we got to talk about this time vortex we in. Because, man, listen, 4 years just like that.
Man.
4 years?
Me and Ann was talking about it. They messed up daylight savings this time. One time, it was like 3 o'clock and it was dark. And then like 2 weeks later, it was back light at 5 o'clock. So
They hitting some type of switch.
they doing something.
That's China and that sun.
And they hit the sun these last 3 weeks in July and January. We ain't gonna get off.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, one more time, my small business shout out is What a Potato, 5202 West Washington. They got these phenomenal like gourmet baked potatoes. You can get lamb chops and shrimp alfredo over baked potato or French fries. They got this Italian beef one that I loved. It's a bomb. 5202 West Washington. She started as a food truck. She got her brick and mortar business. She came on the west side. And if you know me, you know I'm a staunch representative of 290. Happy Sunday. This is Asia on America on IntellectualRadio.com. I'm Hood Oprah, and as always, I love y'all.
Let's go.